afternoon to all. It's a great pleasure to be here. My name is Dimitris Koutsopoulos. I'm the CEO of Deloitte in Greece, and I'm here with my colleague Alexis Kontis, who has been instrumental in putting together the survey that we will be shortly providing you a summary of. Now, before going any further, and it's quite important, the last three panels in reality have raised issues that have been very well captured by the survey itself. So we are talking about people and training, the fuel of the future, technology, innovation, ESG. All these have been captured in the survey, and I think we can commence by showing you the demographics. Who did we ask? What did we do in order to come up with the results of our survey? So, Alexis?
Thank you very much, Dimitri. Honored to be here with you. And as Dimitris said, we had the privilege of receiving more than 100 replies to our survey. Most of the companies that have replied are here together with us today. And 75% of the respondents were CXOs, 99%, the vast majority, operate in merchant shipping, and of course, as expected, 74% of the companies are of Greek ownership of interest, with 32% being publicly listed. As you may see in the chart, the stratification of the specific sample allows us to statistically provide sound results and findings, which will be presented by both of us, by Dimitris and myself, in the slides that follow. It's very important to mention that the majority of the companies employ 11 to 15 onshore staff, and 50% of them operate and own a fleet of 10 to 75 vessels, and while 72 have an average fleet age of 5 to 15 years. On the right-hand side of the chart, you can see the stratification as far as the subsectors that the respondents operate in. Of course, they don't add up to 100, the percentages, because there is a lot of companies. It's very common in the merchant industry, the maritime industry, to have operation in different subsectors. Bulk carriers and tankers are the majority, while gas carriers and containers follow. This is indicative, as you may all know, of the Greek, let's say, maritime industry, and not of the global. Even though our survey was global, with responses received by companies from Italy, from Malta, from the US, and from Singapore. So, without you, I give the back to you, Dimitri.
Thank you, Alexis. Now, having seen the demographics, I think we should take the next step and actually start seeing the results. Having said the background and who were the respondents, how they were stratified, the first thing we did is address, based on the industry expertise, the main factors that affect the present but also will affect the future of shipping. So these 7 factors, you can all see them on the screen: geopolitical factors, global GDP, environmental measures, interest rates, access to funding, cost of new buildings, climate, or unforeseen disruptions. What we have seen is that geopolitics and global GDP were rated as the top factors with 46% and 29% respectively, while, and it was quite astonishing, that the climate change and unforeseen disruptions was less important by 46% of the respondents. So given the fact that the maritime industry is undergoing a rather positive phase, I would say access to funding and interest rates are not anticipated to have a significant impact in the future of industry, something that clearly would not have been the case some years ago. Taking it a step further, what we have tried to do in our survey is to address issues at the company level. We've seen it at the sector level, so we wanted to take it a step down to the company itself. And we raised the questions of the challenges that the companies face, coupled with the respective degree of readiness. And all the issues that we have asked, that we have addressed in our survey, are issues that have been discussed earlier today. So most of the surveyed companies intend to expand their current fleet capacity. The primary operational obstacle lies in attracting and retaining proficient seafarers, while joint ventures emerge as the most feasible partnership option. When it concerns human resource management, as we can see on the screen, 96% of the respondents consider it's an important challenge to attract and retain skilled seafarers, and 93% consider it a challenge to attract and retain skilled onshore personnel. The respective degree of readiness is low, especially when it relates to training labor to manage new leading-edge technologies. As it relates to sustainability and regulatory framework, compliance with regulatory bodies, IMO, classification society, inspections, etc., is a challenge for 95% of the respondents, while for 93%, the reductions of fuel consumption and emissions is the main challenge. The respective degree of readiness to comply with these challenges seems to be relatively good. While for the operations part, main challenge for 91% of the respondents is the containment of OPEX, operating expenses, and for 79%, addressing cybersecurity threats. Clearly, when it relates to respective readiness, there is room for improvement when it comes to cybersecurity challenge. It was great to read through the results that 61% of the companies consider that they are at a high level of readiness to deal with potential worsening economic conditions. So taking a step further and going to the technological evolution, what we've seen is that 97% of the companies that participate in the survey stated that they will increase the investments in technology within the next 3 years. I think we have all heard this a number of times during the previous panels. No one, and it's very reasonable, reports a decrease in investments in that particular direction. Satellite technology and the Internet of Things are anticipated to have the most significant impact in the future, followed by big data analytics and artificial intelligence. Robotics and augmented virtual reality technologies, on the other hand, are less likely to have a significant impact. The most important advantages of technological advancements include improved operational efficiency, enhanced safety, while notable challenges such as investment costs and integration into existing systems were highlighted. While once more we had the reference to human resources as there is an employee skill gap and increased necessity for training. Finally, the data security and privacy was also highlighted as a very important challenge to address. I do not know, Alex, whether you have something to add on this.
Yes, thank you, Dimitris. It's as expected, actually, because satellite technology and Internet of Things are two technological evolutions that have been implemented in some sort of another within the industry, as we heard from our previous panel, of course, providing the infrastructure technology for more, if I may call them, disruptive technologies right now and in the near future, like big data analytics and artificial intelligence, to take place and further disrupt and make things easier and more efficiently for the whole maritime industry.
Thank you, Alex. So going further, when it comes to regulatory framework, the regulatory framework governing the future of maritime industry is becoming even more strict. In particular, 50% of the respondents do not feel that implementing the European Union emissions trading system in shipping will help decarbonizing the sector. 56% of the respondents claim that EU ETS will have a notable effect on their company's trade routes. And 54% believe that the industry will fail to reach by 2050 the net zero greenhouse gas emissions goal, as has been set by the IMO. While there are concerns with regards to the impact of ETS on ports, there is clearly a unique opportunity for the EU to become pioneers in integrating greener practices. Alternative fuels, the fuel of the future. It has been discussed a number of times, and in terms of sustainability and decarbonization, retrofits and slow steaming are the prevailing mid-term solutions for transitioning to net zero. while the discussion around the fuel of the future persists. 92% of the respondents believe that retrofits will be used, while slow steaming follows closely with 89%. Participants ranked LNG as the least preferred transition alternative. As for the fuel of the future, there is no clear winner for the time being, with methanol ranking the highest with 65%, as you can see on the screen, followed by biofuels with 64% and ammonia at 63%. All others had less than 50% preference, while electricity was at the lowest at 18%. So, Alex?
Thank you, Dimitris. Yes, as we can see here, as far as the midterm alternatives for transition to net zero, the results are as expected. Slow steaming and retrofits, they are actually implemented within the maritime industry and are expected to, let's say, become even more safe alternatives for transition to net zero. Carbon capture, as discussed in previous panels, came up in third place, which is equally important. And now, as far as the fuel of the future is concerned, we don't believe the industry has elected a clear winner as such. Methanol, biofuels and ammonia came first. Nuclear came one before last, even though nuclear, as discussed, there was a very interesting panel before where there was a debate whether we will see nuclear within this generation or the next one. But for sure, methanol and biofuels are already implemented in some sort of another. Methanol, in Singapore, we had last week the first Virgin pilot trip made with dual fuel methanol, and definitely biofuels are already implemented by some of you. The big question here is the infrastructure ready to, let's say, support the fuel of the future that will be elected? And also, do we have enough capacity for bunkering and servicing the whole maritime industry?
Thank you, Alex. And going to the last part, which has the sustainability parameters, sustainability factors seem to be vital for the company's interaction with the stakeholders. The survey indicates that 71% believe that taking lead in adopting alternative fuels provides a substantial competitive advantage. However, which was quite unique, there's a 29% that totally disagree with that, and this is quite remarkable. Furthermore, responses believed by 88% that investors, financiers consider the company's sustainability performance when making investment and financial decisions. And finally, 77% claimed that charterers and brokers take into consideration sustainability factors when selecting shipping companies. It is evident that the maritime industry has set sail towards a greener future, and the way companies navigate this complex environment moving forward will be clearly very, very crucial. Trying to wrap up within the time, Mr. Bornozis, and thank you again for having us with you today. Uncertainty is clearly the new normal. The shipping DNA has proven to be effective in actually navigating uncertainty. It's clear that the future of shipping will embed technology, will require investments, focus on human capital and respective training, monitor closely the evolution of the fuel of the future, while clearly there is a trend to a more green shipping in the years to come. We'd like to thank you all.